This is one of the best videos that I made in a long time, so hopefully you guys enjoy this and let's get right into it. Before I begin, comment down below if I should buy an iPad for a whiteboard that basically would sit on this second half of my screen, some of my videos, just so it's better to take notes and you guys can visually see it a little bit more and I can actually draw on the screen. Let me know if you guys would enjoy that, yes or no, in the comments down below. Let's get right into the video. I'm going to make this video very easily understandable, so hopefully everyone will be able to understand this very clearly. Now, again, when you're first learning this strategy, it might sound too easy, and it's not. It might look very easy, but the problem is you're going to be the issue when it comes to this strategy. The strategy is going to be the easiest part about your trading, but it's going to be you that determines when to actually click the button, because everyone can just click the button whenever. And it's not about clicking the button, it's about knowing when to click the button, when to click the buy button, and when to click the sell button, because everybody clicks the button every single day, and it's a matter of when you actually click the button that will determine if you're profitable or not. And it sounds super simple, super easy, but it's not. Trading is 90% you and 10% strategy. The strategy is the easiest part about trading versus your mindset. It's just about knowing when to click that button at the right time, and that's what we're going to go over in this video. Now, we have to understand why price moves in the first place. This is how I trade. The strategy that I'm telling you guys is literally how I trade. I sat down and figured out why price moves. You have to figure out why something does what it does in the first place. So, in order for a stock to move, there has to be buyers and there has to be sellers. If I could figure out if there's more buyers here at a certain area or there's more sellers here at a certain area, that would be one very good strategy. You can see aggression very easily if you're able to see if more buyers are here or more sellers are there. So that's when I started making this strategy. You got to see where the buyers and sellers are at. How do you see where the buyers and sellers are at? It's not indicators, it's time and sales and level 2. Level 2 will show you the orders beforehand. The time and sales will show you orders being executed real time. Knowing that, now we know how to see buyers and sellers, but how does that relate to any sort of strategy? How do we know when to look for buyers and sellers? Like, what point on this chart do we need to look for buyers and sellers? Well, let's get rid of this entire thing. And now what you want to look for is reactions. You want to look for reactions because you know that buyers are starting to inbound sellers at certain areas. The better the reaction, the better the move in your direction. So let's make this a little bit more simpler. Buyers brought this all the way up and reacted at this area. Next thing you know, we completely push all the way to the downside. Here's another reaction. We had a huge move to the upside, stopped out of nowhere, right? So we have stoppage right here. How does a moving train just stop out of nowhere like that, especially that momentum? So there's a reaction here. There's a reaction there. We keep going down. That was a nice reaction. It comes up. And now I like to look for 2 or more reactions, so you can't really just trade it off of here like that. In some rare circumstances, you can. If it's like high a day and there's not price action above it or below it, if it's low a day. But for this example, you can't just trade it like that, right? You need to see another reaction. But if you look above, here's a reaction right there at that high day area. So now this is how you create your zone. You go from the top of here to the open or close of the highest candle here. So it's going to be right there at the open of this, which is 396.25. And now we have our zone. You play the breakout of this zone. You can't play it there. A lot of people could get faked out there, but if you're looking at the time of sales, and I'll bring this over right here, you will be able to see velocity. Now, velocity shows us the direct correlation versus buyers and sellers at certain areas. If there is more velocity and the bid and ask is continuing to go higher at a certain price, that means buyers are stronger there. Now, if there's no velocity and the bids are just slowly coming up and the ask is slowly going up, I can't trade that. What I like to look for is aggression. I look for the speed of the tape at certain reaction areas. So the speed of the tape at, for example, this area right here, let's say this comes up and this breaks out of this zone right there, you're going to see the speed of the tape really going. You're going to see the velocity. If you look at any of my trading recap videos, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll be able to see that on the middle right side of my screen where the tape, that time of sales, starts flying. And that's exactly what happened right here. Time and sales was going crazy, and this thing broke out of this area. That's when you get in, and that's how you eliminate fake outs. You're not going to get faked out right here with time of sales. If you're really looking at time of sales, you're not going to get faked out there. This is essentially, you just play that breakout right there, and this is how you don't get faked out, that time of sales. So you'll be able to get in at the right time, have like no drawdown. Sometimes it will hold at that certain area, but for the most part, once you get in, it just goes in your favor right away, and that's how you know if you're wrong in a trade. Because if you get in and it doesn't go in your favor right away, and it actually starts going the opposite direction, you know you're wrong in the trade because you saw buyers imbalance the sellers there. If buyers do not continue to imbalance those sellers right there, you're wrong in the trade and you got to get out. Now, if we go over a trade that I took today, it was around this 395 area. I had a zone right around this low area because this was the low day. Remember, we had a nice reaction here. If there's no previous price action under that or above that, you don't really need another reaction. But if it comes down or comes up way too quickly in that direction, then you can't really take it. Like for example, if this thing came up and there's a level right here, you need to see it cool off. You can't, I would never ever take a reaction right here. For example, if I had a level right here and price came up a whole dollar, even though it came under this level right there, I can't take it because I know that the probability of profitability after a huge move to the upside is small. This thing needs to cool off first. So I need to see a reaction in that area before I take it. I know there's going to be a reaction there because of how much it came up so quickly. This came up $1. It needs to cool off. People need to take profits. And that's exactly what happened right there. It pulled back after those two candles. It's not worth it. So for this example, this thing was super aggressive to the downside once it broke that low. And I got in around the 395.10 mark right there. That 395 broke, and that's when I started selling just because it was holding the 80s and 90s. If price is holding, that means the buyers and sellers are starting to fight up a little bit. You do not want to be in the middle of a war zone. It's not how it works. I want to be winning the war. And if I'm losing the war or it's just stagnant, I don't want to be in it if it just broke. Now, for example, if price is stagnant here, I know people are just taking profits because it's a huge move to the upside. So I know people are just going to be taking profits. But if it does this at the center point of your break, then it's not going to be that aggressive move that you wanted. Now, if it does this after a huge move to the upside, you know people are just taking profits. So that's when you see, oh, I'm letting it breathe. You got to be patient on the trade. But it can't do that as soon as you get in. And this is the trade that I took today on SPY. I didn't take that. It was too late in the day. But if we look at Tesla, for example, same thing here. Tesla's price action is so clean, right? So we have a reaction here, right? The low area. You make the zone here, followed by a key level of 140. So I waited for the 140 level to break. We have a reaction in that 140 level. So what I did was just drag this down a little bit to that 140 level. Once it broke 140, that's when I got into puts, and this thing ran down, and I sold on this next push right there when I saw it holding under 139. My plan was to sell under 139 just because I saw NQ and SPY kind of holding up in that area, which was a nice move. It wasn't bad at all. But that's exactly what I'm talking about. That 140 level, you have a zone right there, a reaction at that 140 level. That's what you want. And the most important thing in this video is about reactions. If there's no reactions, then it's not a good trade. You want to see those reactions for those high probability setups. When I took it under that 398, because there was a reaction at the 398 key level. So literally making a zone right here. Once it broke out, you play puts. That was a 40-cent drop down right there, which is about 20%. Even though it doesn't look like a lot moved, it was still 20% on your contracts like that, literally in 20-30 seconds. And it's insane. And then we have this high day area. Look, we came up, we stopped out of nowhere. This looked pretty strong, stopped, came right back down to make a lower day. There's something there. You have to know that there's something there. You have to see these reactions in this area. We make the zone. From there, we see another reaction here, right? This thing came up, dropped down. There's something there. You can't just go up like that aggressively and then just come right back down. There is something fighting it in this area. So what happens when it breaks that area? We get a nice move to the upside. And then play the break out of that. Make sure the time of sales is in your favor. Make sure there's velocity. Make sure there's actual buyers there. That's the only way the stock will go up, if there's buyers there. A nice breakout. But the key to all this is reactions. Same thing in the middle area right here. You see price try to come up here, brought right back down to low day. It came up, bounced at this certain area right here. Okay, well, what is there? A reaction. You could play puts right under that. Literally right there. And all of these examples that I'm talking about isn't even hindsight, because these are the actual trades that I've traded this week. Tesla, I just traded that 140 today. SPY, I literally just traded a 395 break today. These are all trades that I've actually taken real time live. And that's the beauty of this strategy. But when you're in the moment, it doesn't seem that easy, because it's a battle against you. Of course, hindsight, you could have played it right under here, went down to there. You could play it right under there, went down to there. The main thing is actually being able to click the button when you see it breaking that zone, and being confident in your strategy, as well as having the discipline to click the button when you see the time of sales actually showing in your direction, versus it not showing in your direction and you're just getting in just to get in because your heart's pumping. It's all about you versus you when it comes to trading. The strategy is the easiest part. Now you have to figure out how to get your mentality there and be confident enough in your own trading to actually click the button when you're supposed to click the button, and not when you're supposed to click the button. So hopefully this helped, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.